And we're here at 1 o'clock, and 2005, thank you. I'm rushing the season slightly. 2005. Our guest informants today are, from my left to right, this is Floyd Oster, and this is Betty Oster, Mr. and Mrs., and this is our friend Myra Krieger. Right? And our student group are, and if you tell me your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Robin Heiner, and I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Very good.
My name is Catherine Berthline. I'm from Longmont, Colorado.
Okay.
My name is Kelly Danahay, and I'm from Lakewood, Colorado.
My name's Morgan Fanning, and I'm from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay. As you see, we have 3 informants today, so we're very fortunate. In fact, can I bunch you together a little closer, if you wouldn't mind? There we go. That helps us here. Myra, can you move in just a little bit, please?
This way. Toward you.
There you go. Okay.
I see. Okay, that better?
Right. Very good. So we'll just start with Myra. Can you tell us a little bit about your ancestry?
I'm from a German descendant, and I am the first generation, but I have cousins that are older because my dad didn't marry until he was 36, and his brothers and sisters were all born in the United States, and my dad was only 4 when they came from Germany. And then there was a problem when, well, we spoke nothing but German in our home to begin with because of the grandparents. And then when I went to school, I didn't know enough English, and they sent a letter home to my parents and told them to teach me English. So, and then 2 years later, my sis came. I was in the 1st grade, and I was in the 3rd. And then when we get together at recess time, we talk German with each other. Well, boy, my parents really got a blistering letter. The Germans, they were just so hateful toward us. And so then that was the end of it, even at home. And now, then when I went to high school, I took German. But
All right, very good, Myra. And then let me skip to Betty. Can you tell us a little bit about your
my
family?
father was a blacksmith in Wiggins, Colorado, and my grandparents were settled in Ray and Yuma, and she was my great-grandmother was the first one to deliver the Postal Service mail by buggy, hold her baby and carry it by buggy. My great-grandfather came over from Odessa, Russia, when he was very small. He came over by steamer, landed in Ellis Island, and German Jew. But when he hit the States, it was German. The Jew was never referred to. And he wouldn't teach his children German. Because we had a big sign in our school, there will be no German spoken in this school.
Wow. And Floyd, short.
My father, he come from Odessa, Russia, 4 years old, and he stopped at Ellis Island, or his folks did, and then they come to Hudson, Colorado. 4 miles south of Hudson was where they landed, yeah. and they moved up. Stayed there a few years, and then they moved up, and everybody know where the Melton Reservoir is? No, well, it's on the map, and it's south of LaSalle, and they built or farmed in the bottom of the lake till they went to fill in the lake, and they had to move out and stayed in the Beebe Draw district, which was all a German settlement, and the Mosers, the Doopers, and the Osters was all in that settlement.
Great, okay, we'll open it up to student questions.
And,
He wants to go on with the students.
what's that?
He wants to go on with
Okay.
the students.
Okay. Who'd like to go first?
I will.
Okay.
I'm Robin, and I was just wondering for Myra, do you remember anything about Hitler? What were the times like back then?
Yes, because he was hated like no man on earth.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a lot of fear here even, we knew he wouldn't come into our land here, but it affected, I think, the whole world,
Yeah.
yes, so.
Alright, I'm Catherine, and this one's for Betty. Do you remember your first date?
My first date, I was pitching a game of fast pitch softball, and then my husband, after that, took me home.
This is for you, Floyd. I'm Kelly, and what kind of books are popular back in your day?
I don't know.
You don't know.
My mother was a school teacher. I don't,
Whatever. Any of you remember what kind of books?
You had the Cappers, I'm sure.
well, that was the newspaper, yeah.
I don't think they had many books.
I don't know the books. Went to the school, my mother named the school, and it was a mile and a half from the home. Rode horses to school. And
You got to the 8th grade.
it was 8th grade. At one time, in the little old school, we had 32 students of different grades and one teacher.
Wow.
And she taught over all of us, or tried to. Anyhow, she did her best. So,
My name's Morgan. Myra, what was it like living in the United States during the Cold War? And like, did you have a fear of the Russians blowing up the world or the United States?
Did you fear in the Cold War? What were your thoughts? Did you think the Russians would come over? We didn't.
I don't know.
We didn't.
It wasn't.
people them days was, all they did, or work for is to make a living and their families.
And out in the
They
country, you didn't have phones and communications and,
And, the last, well, I was 13 years old when we first got a radio.
this is the kind of phone we had. The operator would sit in town and shh, and she knew how many shh. And we'd answer and then several people would be listening.
All of the neighbors that take their, come running and take down the receiver and hear every word you say.
I'm Catherine, and this is for Floyd. You said something about being near LaSalle. Do you remember a military plane crash near LaSalle in World War II?
The military plane crash in LaSalle, World War II.
That wasn't in LaSalle, that was south and east of LaSalle. Of course, I guess that's yeah, I can
That
remember.
What was it like? Was it like a big deal, or were people just like, meh?
No, it wasn't too too big a deal.
Yeah.
Just a plane crash.
Yeah. Myra, what was the most favorite job you've ever had?
What was-
What's your favorite job you ever had? It certainly wasn't thinning beads for me. Or hoeing beans. That wasn't for me.
And so,
What was your favorite?
Eating
Oh, she loves to embroidery and things like that.
eating ice cream.
you
Eating
don't
ice
call
cream.
that a job, I said.
Did you have to milk the cows and things like that?
No, that's one thing I would not do, is milk, help with the cattle. We just had so many chores as far as at home, and then we, Mom had a big garden, and we had to help with that, and we, like Betty said, we had a hoe out in the field, and my dad assigned a certain bean field just to we girls, sisters. And I was way ahead of them, and all of a sudden, here's a big bull snake in my row, and I took the hoe and tried to kill it. And you might as well hit a garden hose, you just can't kill them. And the third time I lashed down at it, it wrapped around my hoe. And I was so terrified, and I wouldn't let go of that, and I turned around and ran, and I drug it after me. When my sisters saw me coming, they went, and here all three of us are running for our lives. But, I really didn't have, regular job.
Yeah, we just had to do everything.
Betty, do you think women today dress too provocatively?
Yes. Yes. I think they ask for some of the things that they get.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
This one's kind of for everyone. I'm Morgan. What effect did World War II have on your community and your life?
What did World War affect you? And
Well,
World War II, how did it affect
they
you at
just
home?
drafted me and sent me on vacation.
Where did you go?
I was in both theaters. I got in the service and, well, I'll tell them like I do everybody. I went in on November the 18th and got out on November the 23rd, 3 years later.
He was in the medics.
Never did get basic training, and I was sent into the Pacific as a male nurse. And just before D-Day, they sent us into the Atlantic. We brought patients back on the troop ships that brought one load of German prisoners back. They was patients. And learn a lot about our own country. When you talk to them, they could tell you more about where you lived and everything.
Well, it affected our household with all my brothers in the service. All the males in the town were gone. That's how it affected us.
There was a lot of rationing, it
Yeah, we
seemed
had
everything. And I was just mentioning to Betty, I got to thinking, the margarine came in a solid white block, and then there was a little capsule with yellow coloring in it, and we had to color our own oleo to look like butter. And we still call it oleo, and every once in a while, one of my girls will call him, Mom, what in the world is oleo?
Yeah.
with all the men being out at war, did you have any certain jobs that you had to take over that you didn't have before?
I had to work in my dad's blacksmith shop.
What did you do there?
Everything except hold the plow lays under the trip hammer.
Oh, wow.
Welding and drilling and putting wagons together and doing the bolts. And after you drill the holes, you had to put the bolts in, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness. Did you enjoy that work? Or?
I loved it.
Really?
Because I could be with my dad.
Okay.
When like the rationing was happening, was it like a certain amount per family, or did it matter how many kids there were, or?
How much in rations did you get?
Well, we were privileged to have all the sugar we wanted because we were raising sugar beets. But all the rest would be like, we always had our stamp books and gasoline too. And we came home on fumes. My husband was a welder in Portland, Oregon, on the ships, welding on the Liberty ships. And it was rationed so close that we put the last in Cheyenne and just hope we get home on that. And that was,
You were
Somewhere-
rationed with gas and
they
groceries?
really limited you.
I'm Catherine, and just going off on that, did it matter how many people were in your family? Like, is that how they based the rations?
I
Or
think
was
more or
it
less,
just one
yeah.
family gets this much and it
But
didn't
the
matter?
gasoline was just strictly that much.
What do you think of gas prices today?
Not bad. My sister pays $3.50 a gallon
Yeah.
in California.
Wow.
We're definitely a lot luckier than some of the other folks in the United States. What do you think of America's dependence on foreign oil?
I think we have a lot in our country we're not using, because we have gas wells all around us. And I think we're just not using all of it. I think there's a cap put on it so that we import.
Did you ever donate anything to the war effort?
My brothers.
Yeah.
Not really. Did you donate anything to the war effort? Out in a country like that?
Well, no, my children, they had, the teacher took them out and they were gathering the ripe fuzz off of their cattails, and they were stuffing pillows for the soldiers, but that was not, I don't think, anything right directly from our home. But then,
Did you donate anything?
There's 4 of us brothers in the service. We all, well, my oldest brother, he's the first one in, and he never left the States, just all the time. Well, in fact, he was a mechanic for the general's airplane, and got to stay there. I went in and never got basic training. In 2 months, I was overseas, and 14 trips across the oceans. If I ever had to leave the United States, I'd go to Australia.
Very nice.
Where were you all when World War II ended? And how did you feel when you knew the war was over?
I was in high school in Wiggins. Oh, we knew it because, the radio come alive. Not the TV, but the radio.
I was in Italy, and we had a, emergency. Anyway, the captain, what we reported to was a Stone 70 Adventist. And that guy never said a bad word about anybody, but we reported to duty, and a whole bunch of us in a room, and they come in, and that was when Roosevelt passed away. And he says that so-and-so, he says he got us into this mess and died and left us here. And remember, that's a plain, just, but,
Where were you, Myra? What were your thoughts after the war ended? World War II. You were on the farm?
Yes, we were on the farm. I don't really know either.
It was
you know,
just
that-
another, well, we knew what happened.
Thought of the Rashni ended, that was one nice
Yeah, that
thing.
was good.
You mentioned President Roosevelt. What were your impressions of him as a president?
he's got in when there's, well, good depression, and he took over and did what the Hoover tried to do, and they wouldn't let him, and put a lot of the guys on these CC camps and everything that make things turn around.
Was there much talk about his disability when he was in a wheelchair?
No,
Was
I
it?
just never,
Never
Were you
heard
aware of
anything.
it or no?
We
yeah.
knew it, but we didn't.
His wife stuck her nose in so many times about the soldiers and stuff that it wasn't too good.
What did she say? What,
Well, she said you ought to pin us up when we come back from overseas and train us how to live.
There's something to that.
Yeah.
So do you think people viewed her as more of a hero or more in a different light?
Who is that?
Eleanor Roosevelt. Do you think people viewed her as a hero or not at all?
No.
No.
Busybody.
Busybody.
What was it like living in the country in northeastern Colorado during the Depression? How did the Depression impact your lives?
You know, we had a lot of people that didn't want to work just like they have nowadays, and they let the government feed them. My hopes is 9 of us kids, and we all went to work and thinning beets and everything else over the country, and made a go of it.
50 cents a day. The thing I remember about the Depression was the sandstorms, the dryness. Mom would hang blankets at the windows and we would have to shovel out the sand. It was in your food and just everything. But we got through. We had each other and we got through it. What do you remember about the Depression? How did you survive?
And I'm still doing it really funny about darning socks, that's one of your. I ran out of thread, I went to the store. I said, I looked and looked, I said, don't you have any darning thread? And they said, looked at me as if you're about a century too. And the same with the pastry brush that you, I would put butter on my loaves of bread when I'm done and I want a pastry bush. Well, they don't know what that is. Yes, oh, it was real hard on our family. We were really short of food and had to be very careful. I had to, now, each group I tell the same story. We lived in LaSalle at that time. We hadn't moved back out on the farm yet. And just about a block from us was a stand where they sold buttermilk for 5 cents a gallon. And then we always had our bread. Mom baked the fresh bread. And then that was our evening meal. I have no memory what we did for breakfast or, you know, our noon big dinner. There was never meat, I'll tell you that. And so she'd give us we had to come bring our own little pail and fill that with the buttermilk and have our bread like that.
My father did a lot of trapping. In our area, we could do that. One day he got a little badger and he brought it in. You know what a badger is? And he brought it in, Mom baked it, and we had sandwiches. That was a treat, we had
Yeah.
sandwiches. But most people wouldn't eat badger.
What does
Well,
badger taste like?
It's sweet, wild.
Is it stringy at all?
No,
Wow.
because this was a young one.
No,
We would
we
never.
were in the pork family.
Okay.
Speaking of eating meat, what do you think of organizations like PETA that say that everyone should be vegetarians and only eat vegetables and not eat meat due to like cruelty of animals and stuff?
To each his own.
Yeah.
I still like a good roast beef. If they get used to it, that's what they want to do, well, they'll do it.
Do you think it's a healthy lifestyle to not have any of the meat in your
Well,
in your diet?
sometimes their vegetables take place of it.
I was wondering how like the entertainment business has changed. Like what when's like the last time you guys went to a movie like now, or how did it compare to